We're on Twitter at WC Wrestling Talk. Give us a like on Facebook at Windy City Wrestling Talk. Or follow me if you want to talk during NXT, Monday Night Raw, Money in the Bank coming out. Follow me at Mercado2333. This is what I've been wanting to get on the show for a long time. My man, my dude, amazing when it comes to movies, when it comes to wrestling. One of my favorite Twitter followers. If you follow him at Vito _Selvaggi, Selvaggi, and we welcome him here to Windy City Wrestling Talk. Vito, my friend, welcome to the show, buddy. How you been?
I've been great. I really appreciate you having me on. How you doing?
I can't complain. It's a great time. We have the network flowing up. Summer's around the corner. Yep. Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. You know how it is, my guy.
Yep, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
Absolutely. Now, I really wanted to have you on the show because you're one of my favorite Twitter followers. I love some of the stuff you come up with. And
thank you.
Yeah, one of the things that I really wanted to get your opinion on is the general state of where the WWE is in general. I mean, I had this conversation with my co-host a few weeks ago about heels and where exactly heels and baby faces are in the company. And I want to kind of get your opinions. Is there even such a thing as a heel or a baby face when you have somebody like Bray Wyatt coming out and he's getting bigger pops than any of the faces are?
Yeah. It's a big question in the wrestling world right now. And, it's hard to say. Like, a lot of our favorite guys are heels, but they're not very good heels, or at least they don't seem to be. Because you have Bray Wyatt who's out there singing a song. He practically encourages, audience participation.
Right.
And I think the announcers try and spin it and say, he's brainwashed the crowd or whatever. But, Bray Wyatt's a face. And I think they're just happy that Bray Wyatt's getting as much of a reaction as he's getting.
Now, who would you say is in general the heel of the company? Because somebody like you just said, Bray Wyatt encourages it. So who would you say is the heel of the WWE?
I think there's only two really big heels in the company, and they're neither of them are wrestlers. That's Stephanie and Paul Heyman. I guess Triple H too.
Mm-hmm. What would you say brings them into that level? I mean, obviously Stephanie. Me and you talk about this every Monday night. Stephanie and Paul Heyman, they are the guys. But where exactly do you see a problem with advocates, I guess what you could say managers? I don't know where you would put Stephanie and her character, but because Mr. McMahon himself was probably the best heel of his generation, of his era. So would you consider that kind of like the correlation with each other?
Sure. I mean, Stephanie is definitely following in her father's footsteps, and she's doing an absolutely phenomenal job. Her and Triple H are probably doing some of the best work of their careers. And Paul Heyman is he understands his business probably better than anybody I've ever seen. So they're just two people who are not afraid to get booed. They're not afraid to say anything or do anything to get their heat. I think some of the guys, the up-and-coming guys, a guy like Wade Barrett, I think is just happy that he's getting a response, and he's almost a babyface because of it,
So do you think a lot of that's the way the universe has almost turned itself with so much of, especially the social media aspect of WWE? Do you think that they're more looking for reactions? Because I've always been under the train of thought, and it's an old school one. Jim Ross used to say it. You want to see heels get their ass kicked. That's the point of a heel. You're paying this money to watch the story of eventually seeing the hero come over and get one over the bad guy. But if you can't tell who the good guy and the bad guy is, because as far as I'm concerned, John Cena is the biggest heel in the company. So,
he's the biggest heel to me.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? It was a few weeks ago where he came in and he hit a chair shot, walked out of the ring. I mean, as heel as it gets, got to win. It was so random, and I just don't understand where they're going with this. Because Mr. McMahon, as for all the flaws and good that he's done, you've always had an idea. Okay, Triple H was the bad guy of the Attitude Era. So I don't see where they're going with all this. Because the one true heel to me that was a wrestler was Punk. As much as he didn't want to be, he kind of was that. Randy Orton's a very stale bad guy, I guess you could say. It's just very bland. I think we've seen it for over the last, even though he's a young man, we've seen it for how long? Over a decade now. So I don't know how you see it, especially with these superstars. It's like Cesaro. I really want to get your thoughts on Cesaro, because this has been blowing my mind for the last maybe month or so, where you have him have this crazy WrestleMania moment, and you give him Paul Heyman, but where are we going?
We're going to Brock Lesnar is where we're going.
And do you think that's going to happen? You think that's going to happen this year?
See, here's the thing. When it comes to Money in the Bank, I really want to say that Cesaro is going to win, because the rumor is that, Brock Lesnar is going to be here for SummerSlam to challenge for the title. I think that story writes itself, and it makes Cesaro into a huge babyface superstar, but I don't know if they're willing to pull the trigger on that so quickly, because he's only been with Heyman a couple months.
Now,
so maybe WrestleMania.
Now, what do you
don't
think
know.
about Roman Reigns, though? I mean, now if we're going with Cesaro. Like, like you were just saying, it writes itself. It's a great storyline, and you got two athletes that would work well with each other. But you see this push that they're doing with Roman Reigns. Is it a push leading to Brock Lesnar in a title match, or is it Triple H in the near future, or are we saving that for a WrestleMania moment?
I think it's Triple H for SummerSlam. I think the story Reigns is going to get at Money in the Bank is the story that Punk almost got, where he's going to probably get real close, and Triple H or somebody in the authority is going to screw Roman Reigns over. It's going to help lead to their match, because that storyline's not done yet. So I don't see Roman Reigns winning that match. To me, it's either John Cena or Cesaro. I think those are the only two possibilities right now.
Really? So you're going. So do you believe they're going to go with the safe choice in John Cena then? Like, because that's where it kind of feels like, right? Where we're almost.
It does kind
safe.
of feel like that, because I would love to see the Cesaro thing. But I just feel that WWE is going to be like, it's too soon. I don't know. They could surprise me. The good thing about this is it's not completely written. You know what I mean? It's just like, we don't know. They could totally surprise us. And for once, that's pretty rare nowadays. So that's. I'm looking forward to at least knowing the fact that I really don't know where it's going to go. If I had to guess, I'd say the safe choice is Cena, hopefully maybe Cesaro, but probably I don't see the other guys winning.
So if we're going that direction, who do you think will not for sure walk out of Money in the Bank as WWE World Heavyweight Champion? Who is not?
Del Rio and Sheamus.
the Irish Cena, huh? Yeah, who would have thought he'll actually lose the match and still come out strong? Only Sheamus. You know what? I don't get
Del
it.
Rio, because I keep forgetting that he's even in the match.
Yeah, he's a forgotten guy.
Been irrelevant for so long, and suddenly they just put him in the match. And like, whoa, okay.
And the main match, and then he beat Ziggler. Now, this is something that has always interested me. Hardcore wrestling fans love Dolph Ziggler. He takes the bumps, he has the look, but then they give him this gimmick, they give him this name, and they give him one initial push. I don't count the first championship as a push.
Yeah,
they give him, he had one major push, a fluke injury with Jack Swagger, who's a good worker, who again he just had one bad incident with a DUI, and he's down the totem pole. But where do you see them doing with Dolph? I don't get it. Like, you can't have that much talent and not use him.
It's so hard to say. We all want to be hopeful and say Dolph's going to get it again. He's going to get that push again. And I'm going to hold on to that hope. But, here's the thing about Dolph, and I love him, but I just think that he just looks so good getting, his butt kicked and getting hurt and losing, that they might just like him doing that, because he does amazing things. He makes his opponents look incredible. I don't know. And, the big thing is that the current roster is so incredibly talented. This might be the most talented roster I've seen in WWE since the Attitude Era. And it's a dog eat dog world, man, because you can't give everybody a run with the championship, unfortunately. But I gotta hope that Ziggler gets there, because I think he really deserves it. I think he's earned it. He cuts these amazing promos on the WWE app, and of course they never get televised on main TV. And if they were, he'd be getting over even more. So I don't know.
And it's funny because you talk about the app and guys getting over, and they have all these outlets now, and it's not like they're only forced to 3 hours on a Monday night. Because quite frankly, it feels that way because they don't care about SmackDown. I don't know if you watched this past SmackDown, but you had I would say 3 finishes. Or on Monday Night Raw, they had 3 good matches that did not have a finish. That had as you like to say, they were just ended at angles again. But SmackDown, nobody watches them, and they're recycling things for that following Monday. What is the point of having a brand new network? What is the point of signing this big major TV deal if you're only going to focus on 3 hours on a Monday night?
Right. It's crazy because they have so much time, and they have a huge roster that they could be utilizing. I think the big mistake this company has made is not continuing with the brand split. Because I think that's just muddied the waters completely. If we had guys only on Raw and guys only on SmackDown, then we'd have every reason to watch both shows. But SmackDown, like you said, like everybody knows, almost means less than main event now, because main event's live on the network and they're pushing the network. So main event's almost more interesting.
Yeah.
I watch SmackDown this week, but I almost never watch it any other week. And if I do, I fast forward through a lot because it's pointless, and I know most of it's going to end up on Raw again.
Yeah, and it's all angles, and it's so funny because you said you fast forward through it. SmackDown is made for the DVR. I mean, that's the one thing that I appreciate about it, but almost upsets me because when we were growing up, SmackDown was a flagship show. I mean, it was, and even SmackDown up into the So when we started doing Raw and the Super Show, okay, so there wasn't no longer a brand split. They were both going to go on to each other's shows.
Yeah.
The minute you got rid of, and I get the idea of that, the World Heavyweight Championship always kind of took a back seat to the WWE Championship, that you almost made it irrelevant. But at least with that, you gave guys opportunities to be on a platform to see, okay, what if we put the gold on him? Can he carry the company? Yeah. You cut yourself out there, but then you have so let's say, okay, they did that, okay, fine and dandy, but then you have the United States and the Intercontinental titles, and they mean nothing. So you don't even have a mid-card championship anymore, and at that you have two worthless ones.
You know, it's just, it's so hard to say because I think I want to say like I have all these solutions, but I don't work for the company, so maybe I don't. But it just seems to me that there's such old school fundamental booking that they could be going back to make all this work, and they're not, and it's weird. Like, you know, it's pretty simple to make championships important. It all goes back to these guys need to have more TV time and more mic time, and not just on the app. You know, they need to have mic time on TV. You know, and like we have SmackDown, we have Raw, we have Main Event, we have Superstars. You have like 7 hours of TV a week, and Superstars. There's nothing. Superstars isn't worth watching. It's two little matches that mean nothing, and 40 minutes of it's like a recap of Raw.
Right.
You know, SmackDown storylines don't even get pushed on SmackDown. They get stalled. Like when Seth Rollins betrayed the Shield, and then on SmackDown, they hyped it up like he was going to say anything. He comes out there, he says, "I'm not going to say anything,"
and leaves for 15 minutes. Right, so 15 minutes of Triple H ramble.
Why did I watch this? You know, it's just this. Like I said before, there's so much talent on this roster right now. If they gave them more of an outlet, if they let them get out there and talk, even if it's for 30 seconds,
just get out there, crack the mic. Absolutely.
You know, and they used to do that in the Attitude Era. And, you know, I don't want to be like one of those guys where it was like, oh, my God, the Attitude Era was better than everything. Because the Attitude Era had its problems, too. But, you know, you go back and watch an old Raw, and Val Venus or somebody would come out, and he would have 30 seconds. Like, he would make the most of it. And he was so over, you know? And he wasn't, like, a particularly special wrestler or anything.
No, and it's funny because we talk about guys being over like a Val Venus, and it almost seems like in this generation of wrestlers, in this generation of fans, it's not the guy being over. It's either the catchphrase or the entrance or something like that. Like, how over really is? I think Cesaro is the best wrestler in the company. I think he and he has the best manager. But for a while, even when he was with the Real Americans, the swing was kind of the thing that got him over. Not necessarily the pop that he got because, man, he could throw down a 40-minute match with anybody. So I don't know if it's like Bad News Barrett. Wade Barrett may be a really good performer, but is he over or is I've got some bad news for you over? So that's
it's a really good question, but I honestly think that Cesaro is over because after a while, the fans will see how incredibly talented somebody is, and he's had such amazing matches that has gotten him over. Yeah, the swing is of course over huge, and I think the same goes for Barrett, and especially because of this new character, this Bad News Barrett character. I think he comes out there and he's having such a good time doing it, and he's loving it so much that the crowd loves him too, and that goes back to him not being a heel anymore.
Now, who do you think in general, though? Like in general, all these guys, like you were saying, like guys being over, like, do you think they can maintain it? I mean, because it's hard. It's easy to be a bad guy. Can you maintain being a good guy?
Yeah, that's the tough thing. I think that's why it's easier when you're new to come in as a heel, because I think it's a little bit easier to get over as a heel. Being a babyface is tough, especially in today's world. You know, I don't know. You can't be like John Cena, you know. And unfortunately, they book a lot of their baby faces to be like that, which is why most of us like heels. And which is why most of us say that the guys who are baby faces now should be heels, which makes the heels baby faces. You know what I mean? It's all backwards.
Now, do you think and this is something that people have talked about on social media, but I've been on it since the network launched. NXT's crowd may be the biggest benefit and the biggest detriment to the WWE. The NXT product, I think what Triple H and Stephanie have done to really not only save themselves from having to get in, even though there's some great independent wrestlers, saving themselves from having to wait from TNA rejects or anything like that. They're developing their own talent. And then they're giving their talent awesome TV time. They're giving them gimmicks to work with. But an audience of X amount of people can't compare it to when you're at the Allstate Arena. Mind you, it's a smart wrestling crowd, but what happens when you're not at a smart wrestling city? They don't get, some cities just don't get it. How many times on social media have we talked about, I'm a CM Punk fan, but why are you chanting CM Punk when Dean Ambrose is having a killer match right now?
Yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve. And I love CM Punk too, but he's gone and people just need to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about NXT is, and it's amazing because NXT is like an independent wrestling show with a WWE production value.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's 400 people in Florida. They shoot 4 episodes a month at one time. It's the same people who get to keep coming back to these shows because they're like $20 tickets, and it's in the same place. So NXT has developed a very hardcore fan base who understand and get who these NXT characters are. But that is not indicative of how well they're going to work on a national, global scale. And you have to reach out to both the hardcore wrestling fans and the little kids and the grandpas in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Now, who do you think? Go ahead.
So, I think Adam Rose is the biggest example.
Thank you. Going right into that. Yeah, go ahead.
When he debuted on NXT, it was like the greatest thing. Instantly, the crowd loved it because the crowd gets it. The crowd, that NXT crowd is a hardcore wrestling fan crowd of NXT who understands exactly what's going on there. When he gets to the big stage, little kids aren't going to understand exactly what this is, but the song's catchy and that's helping him.
No, it's great, but then some. Okay, like Bo Dallas. Okay, do you? Because there's a lot of rumor. If you go on Bleacher Report or No DQ or any of these different websites, they tell you that there's heat behind these guys backstage, that they're not getting over the same. Well, you can't have that expectation, right? Of NXT to like you said, a global. Does somebody in England know who Bo Dallas really is, other than maybe he's Bray Wyatt's brother? I mean, it's a weird. You're asking young guys for a weird dynamic, and I think a lot of guys have stepped up, and it actually leads me to this. The Shield and the Wyatts, right? They came up and they made an impact. Is it necessarily that, okay, the NXT universe gets it, or is it just hitting home runs with certain guys? Like, where can you take Adam Rose, okay? Because let's think of Fandango, right? They thought this guy was hotter than sliced bread. We're going to put him to Jericho, and it had Big Man written all over it, right? And never went anywhere. The Shield and Wyatts almost let themselves into any story you can think of. Can you see anybody in NXT? I know you're not a big Adrian Neville fan, right?
I think he's okay. I don't think he's great.
So where do you see that? Like, who do you see from NXT that really has that Shield / Bray Wyatt family type of appeal to make that jump up to the next level?
It's all about long-term planning, and I think that's what they had with Shield and the Wyatt family. They had long-term planning as for where they were going, and they gave them a lot of exposure. The Shield and Bray Wyatt were built up amazingly, perfectly. Others, not so much. And again, I think it really goes back to letting them get that TV time. I think Bo Dallas is making amazing. I think he's going to be big. I think even his character, because I think people are going to get it. If they didn't get it at first, they're going to.
Right.
When it comes to who's in NXT now, I think Sami Zayn.
Okay.
Obviously, but again, Sami, they need to let him have great matches because he's not the biggest dude in the world. He's not the most badass dude in the world. But you let him get in there and do his stuff, he'll get over. Adrian Neville, I like, but he can barely talk. I see Adrian Neville is going to be, another. I hate to say this because I don't want to be rude or anything, but I don't think he's going to be a world champion. He's going to be a mid-carder who has really cool matches, and he's going to be like the next Kofi Kingston or even Rob Van Dam or whatever.
What is with your thing in Rob Van Dam?
Oh man, I used to love Rob Van Dam, but here's the thing: he's really, really lost a few steps in the ring.
I would agree.
And on top of it, he hasn't done anything new or changed anything about him in 15 years.
That's true.
And I get some people like that. And when I was at Payback a couple weeks ago, he got a huge pop. I couldn't believe it.
That's a Chicago ECW crowd though, pop, though, right?
And of course, absolutely. I love ECW. I love Rob Van Dam, but he's just, he hasn't even added a single move to his repertoire in 15 years. He's definitely slowed down a bit. And of course he's slowed down because he's done such crazy things. Of course he's, it's amazing he's still doing what he's doing. But I'm sorry, I just can't watch him anymore.
No, it's so funny because I'm on Twitter all the time, and that's every time we see an RVD match, I'm all excited because I know usually that means it's like a Cesaro or a Bad News Bear he's going to lose to, and the first thing I see is Vito right there. Oh, RVD again.
And I'm not the only one.
I know. It's ridiculous. It's so funny.
I don't think he's had a great match since he's been back. I think he's had some okay matches, but he's had some bad matches. I don't know.
No, it's true.
But he has value. He does have value in the company. He's like any other veteran. He should be there, and he should be losing to the younger guys.
But I don't think he's a Jericho, though. Like, I feel like Jericho at any time could win. Like, Jericho still makes it believable that, all right, he could go out there and he can actually be a real contender. Like, RVD is a nice throwback to our childhood and a nice throwback to an ECW crowd, but he's not, I don't believe that when you put him against Sheamus, Cesaro, Bad News Bear, that he's really going to get over on these guys. Like, he's really going to pin one of them. Like, I've never gotten that. Now, with all this young movement, and you have guys like RVD kind of already working their way out, even Triple H kind of working his way out, I thought he was going to be involved still in Money in the Bank. I have a feeling he'll be, I think we both agree he'll be involved at SummerSlam at some point.
Yeah.
But who do you feel is the breakout star of these young guys? We're talking about all these generation of superstars we thought would never disappear have kind of disappeared, and now this new brand has kind of exploded in front of us, and you got guys like Seth Rollins who might look like an X-Men but still throws down some crazy matches. Dean Ambrose going back to his independent style, PG-ish, and Roman Reigns trying to become this babyface tank, and obviously the Wyatts who are babyfaces, Cesaro, Bad News Bear. Who's the breakout star?
Oh man, but that's the thing. I think all these guys you just mentioned have the potential to be the next main eventers to carry this company in the future. For me, personally, I think Dean Ambrose has the longest term career if he sticks with it, because I think he's got everything. I think he is one of the most talented wrestlers in the company today. I can't believe how well he's doing as a babyface. That just proves to me further that he can do it all. He's amazing in the ring. He's unique. He's different. And he gets it. He just gets it. I believe every minute of him. I love him.
It's crazy, right? Like, I almost see what Pillman, and he almost has the psychology, and the guy I'm about to mention is by far the best psychologist in wrestling, but he's got a lot of Jake the Snake Roberts in him. He's got this, it's not even he's just got this look. Like, you know how we always say it? It's not even it. When he's in front of a camera, like, okay, Roman Reigns is the pretty boy. Seth Rollins is the one with the cool set of moves. He's going to jump off the turnbuckle, top rope, do all these things. Dean Ambrose looks like the wrestler. Dean Ambrose looks like the universal guy. You could have dropped him against, Bruiser Brody up to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he belongs in those eras.
Yeah.
And I think it's an interesting thing.
I encourage any WWE fan who's never really looked into the independent stuff to look up Dean Ambrose's Jon Moxley and some of the independent stuff. Actually, look up the independent stuff of all these guys. Look up Cesaro's independent stuff. Look up Seth Rollins' independent stuff. These guys have been amazing for years, and they've worked in different styles. They've worked bloody. They've worked, old Attitude Era, hardcore style. These guys can do it all.
No, YouTube's amazing for it. No, YouTube's amazing. You're right. I mean, there's one. Even if you want to be a homer and you want to say go on the network, the Sami Zayn Cesaro matches. Those are classics. Those are clinics. Even if it's kind of a little bit tamed. What was it? FCW, Kaliki, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose. I mean, that's a kind of fun match.
Roman Reigns was Liake. Yeah.
So
they had a triple threat match on there. I posted on Twitter a while ago. It was awesome.
No, it's a great match. It's fun to see. Like, I was watching the network, and they did top 10 title changes, and the number one was Survivor Series of like '94, and it's Rocky Maivia over Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and you see Hunter Hearst Helmsley doing his little bow, coming on with the whole blue blood and the Rocky Maivia, and it's just so amazing in wrestling because you grew up with these characters, you go through the transformation with them. Like, how many times did we see Chris Jericho evolve, and to watch him kind of become these things? I mean, it's amazing. Vito, I have to thank you so much, first of all, before I ask you my last question. But you have given us 25 minutes here at Windy City Wrestling Talk, and it has been awesome, buddy. Like, I have learned
it's
so
been a real
much.
Pleasure. It really has.
We're gonna make sure that we do this at least. We're gonna try to do this for our audience once a month, at least leading up to a pay-per-view. Next week is Money in the Bank, obviously, June 29th. It's we haven't really gotten a lot of the card set up. You can follow me at Twitter at WC Wrestling Talk. You can follow Vito at Vito_Selvaggi, Selvaggi. It's gonna be fun stuff to talk wrestling throughout it, but You kind of gave us a prediction earlier, but quick rundown. The Wyatt family, do they walk away over the Usos? I was there on Monday night. I think you were there too when the Usos won the titles. Do they lose it at Money in the Bank?
I think it's time for them to lose, yeah. I love the Usos, but I think right now they're not doing that much, and I think the Wyatts have bigger upside, and I also think that I just think it's their time. We'll see. I could be wrong, though.
What happened to the Usos? What happened to them? Like, are they now the girlfriends of the next big superstars? Like, one week they're John Cena's, the next week they're Sheamus. Yeah. Like, where do they go? Where do they put them? And they're good. Like, they're actually pretty good. And the tag division,
good forever. You know, they've been in WWE for so long, and it took so long for them to be a main attraction on the show. And they've always been over. I just could not understand it took them so long to pull the trigger on them. I'm just happy they're there. They're in main events. They're tag team champions. They're doing great stuff. Just because if they lose the titles, it's not a big deal. As long as they remain a big part of the show, that's important. And
it's funny because I don't even know if it's necessarily funny, but the tag division of WWE, what happened to it? I mean, at one point it was red hot. Just a year ago, it was red hot, and and that's the new era of WWE. They just don't have patience anymore. But I mean, I guess that's the conversation. We'll lead into that for the July Vito edition of Windy City Wrestling Talk. Okay, and then we have the briefcase. We've only heard about one guy going in. I think it's safe to assume that Dean Ambrose finds his way into this match. So you have Ambrose and Rollins. Who else can you really put in there? Wade Barrett?
Ziggler.
Yeah, Ziggler,
Barrett.
So who do you think comes out of there? I mean, we've already established that you could lose the Money in the Bank ladder match. So you don't have to cash in 100% of the time. So it doesn't even necessarily matter who wins because they might not even give them that push. But who do you, if you had to take a guess right now, even though there's only two guys in the match themselves, who do you got?
I think really the only one that makes sense out of that entire mid card right now is just Seth Rollins because they're focusing on him right now. They're giving him the spotlight, and frankly, I wish they had actually put him in the title one because if he's Triple H's new boy, why wouldn't Triple H put him in the title hunt?
Right.
But that's it's not a big deal. But I think that Seth Rollins will probably be the one to go away with the briefcase.
And in the big one of the night,
like I said, it's Cesaro as a surprise, but safe bet on Cena.
You just heard a little bit by saying that, huh?
Yeah.
So what do you think else is going to happen, though? I mean, we have a night where chances are the United States and Intercontinental aren't going to be on the main card. They're going to be in the ladder matches. Paige, they haven't done anything with since I came back from Europe. I don't see how else they're going to be able to fill 2.5 hours of cable time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think these ladder matches will get a lot of time.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
But I don't know. I think we'll do like a Paige versus Naomi and whatever.
Oh, I wish AJ was back. I just want her back. Just give me AJ versus Paige, and I'll be a happy man.
That feud.
I can't wait. That's coming. It has to be coming at some point. And then I have to go there. CM Punk, does he come back by 2014, or is he not coming back at all?
No, he's not coming back. I don't think he's ever coming back.
You think that's a done deal?
If he ever comes back, it's like he's going into the Hall of Fame, and he's going to say, thanks, guys, because he left without saying goodbye, which is kind of one of the reasons I'm a little upset with him.
So he is a Hall of Famer?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's an interesting one. That's going to be an interesting one. And you know what? I want you to think about this because we're going to do it for the July edition. The Macho Man Randy Savage story. It's the DVD coming out. I really want to get your thoughts about it. Just in general, we're going to talk a little bit about the old rumors of WWE the next time we have you on the show. But, Vito, where can I follow you on Twitter so they get all that fun stuff? And I know you're really big into the movies. I know you were really into the Star Wars, the new director coming out with. So I know you've been hot on that. So for any of our wrestling fans who love that, this is the guy to go to. Vito, where can they follow you, buddy?
They follow me at Vito, VITO _Selvaggi, SELVAGGI. I know it's a lot of weird letters.
Totally worth it, though, buddy.
But yeah, I talk about movies. I talk about wrestling. I live tweet Raw every Monday. Caution, I swear a lot. So,
and you finally made it to the bottom of the mark list. Yes, you did.
I made it on the WWE Network. I finally had a tweet that didn't have a swear in it, so they could put it on there.
That's awesome, Vito. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day, buddy. You took so much time, and we appreciate it.
Man, anytime. Seriously, thank you so much for having me on. It's a real honor.
It was our pleasure, buddy. Everybody, that was Vito Selvaggi here on Windy City Wrestling Talk. You can follow him on Twitter at Vito _ Selvaggi. My Twitter at Emercado2333 or at WC Wrestling Talk. We've had a lot of fun today, guys. Don't forget, next week, the big guy returns to Windy City Wrestling Talk as we preview Money in the Bank. We'll see you next week here on Windy City Wrestling Talk.